I make it 10:30. Is that correct? Could I just ask, Joanne, is that 10?
Yes.
Everyone to this virtual meeting of the Regulatory Committee, the first one on Microsoft Teams. The meeting this morning is being webcast, so can I first welcome all viewers watching the meeting today. Please can I remind members present and everyone watching that there may be for unforeseen technical difficulties that may prevent the system working effectively. However, we will aim to keep any such difficulties to a minimum to ensure the meeting continues in an open and transparent manner. Please can I remind members to ensure your microphone is muted during the meeting and that you only switch on your microphone when you are speaking. This will ensure that any background noise in your location will not be picked up throughout the meeting. After each item has been presented, please could I ask you to indicate whether you wish to speak by raising your virtual hand. Please lower it once you have finished your speaking. That would be appreciated. If you need to leave the meeting early, please type exit in the instant messaging facility. This will avoid officers contacting you to see if you are having connection difficulties. At the end of the debate, voting will be either by assent if no opposition or dissent has been expressed, or by roll call. The legal officer will call out each member's name in turn. They should respond for, against, or abstain. I'll now turn to the agenda. Item 1, have we any apologies?
No apologies, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, disclosure of personal or prudential interest. Councillor Steen.
Yeah, in item 8, Chairman, non-pecuniary interest, the route is in my borough ward. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I also declare a non-pecuniary interest on item 8, as I live approximately 200 metres away from this application, and this is also in my ward. Thank you. Have we any more? No. Okay then. Item.
I'm sorry, I put my hand up. It's
sorry,
just
I've seen that. Yes, go on.
Yeah, it's Councillor Parr. Item 6 related to Williamson Park, Fenham Car. I am interested in this, but I'm not part of a group and it isn't my division. So am I in a position to vote on it, or?
Could I ask legal to come in on that, please?
Hi, Councillor. Sorry, do you just want to clarify your position? You say you're interested in it, just me as a resident of Lancashire, or?
Well, I am responsible for well-being on the cabinet, so this being an outdoor, potentially an outdoor play area, etc., and a footpath, it could be said to impact on my portfolio. I'm just raising it to be doubly sure. Clearly, I've no pecuniary interest.
No, I think it's non-pecuniary, and if you've had no previous involvement, you've not predetermined or had anybody approach you, then you should be fine on this. It's non-pecuniary.
Thank you very much for clearing that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I do apologise, but your hand seemed to come up late on my screen anyway, but I'd seen it and now you've put it down. That's fine. Okay, thank you. Item 3 is the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 18th of November 2020, and also on the 2nd of December 2020. Could I ask someone to move those minutes, please?
Move approval of those minutes. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
thank you. I don't think there's anything issues on there. No. Thank you very much. Item 4, the guidance. Again, this is for note. Lorraine Cox, have you just put your hand up to speak? No.
No, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's all right then. Okay, the guidance again. There's nothing changed on there. I would assume that all members will have read that. Item 5, sorry.
Buying plants just when you just end up killing them. Why? Just to remind you what I'm capable of.
Excuse me, there's some background noise there, please. If someone could put the microphone off. Thank you. Where are we now then?
Sorry, Chair, we have got a hand raised by Councillor Howarth.
That's at the top. Yes,
it's on item 5, Chair, which you're about to come to.
Oh, sorry. I jumped the gun. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, just bear with me for one moment. Then the progress report on previous committee items. Okay. Any questions, Councillor Howarth?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to the officers for producing this. But when I first requested a progress report on previous items, it wasn't particularly for items we've discussed in the past 12 months or so. It was items per se. I've got one in my ward, public right of way, which was approved 6-7 years ago. And whenever I've made any inquiries about it, it's on a pile waiting to go to the minister. So I would be interested to know, because we do put a lot of time and effort into these meetings and considering these applications and taking decisions. But I'd be interested to know how many we've got that never go anywhere. How big is the pile? How many cases are on it? And how far does it go back?
Okay, thank you. I don't know whether David can answer this or legal.
Yeah, we can. Sorry, we misunderstood what the request was, and we can certainly adjust that to give information on how many are outstanding, that sort of thing. If that's what members would like, yeah, that's no problem. We haven't got that on the top fingertip information at the moment for this meeting, but we can certainly do that for future.
Okay. You want to come back, Councillor Howarth?
That would be welcome. More than happy with that. Thank you.
Okay.
And also, if you've got any queries about particular ones, at any time you can contact either legal through Kerry or myself at Rights of Way, and we can supply the information anytime you want anyway.
Okay. Okay, is that okay, Councillor Howarth? Okay. Any other comments? No. Okay, then we'll now go on to item 6, is the Wildlife and Countryside Act definitive modification, investigation, addition of footpath at Fern Car, Lancaster City. And this is file number 8042615. And I will now hand over to Jane Elliott. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check that everyone can hear me okay? Yep. I've just in terms of this application, so it's agenda item 6. I'm being assisted. I've had a few Wi-Fi connection issues, so I'm being assisted today by one of my colleagues in terms of putting the presentation up for you. So just waiting for her to do that. Oh, that's great. It looks like it's just coming up now. So details of this application can be found in agenda item 6 on pages 41 to 120 of the committee bundle. So a map showing the application route can be found on page 87 of the bundle and is on the screen in front of you today. Now, this shows the application route denoted by a thick black dashed line. Now, as you can see from the plan, the application route crosses an area of land which is known as Fenham Car in Lancaster. Fenham Car was formerly part of the grounds of Moor Park Hospital, which was the old lunatic asylum, as you will see it marked on some of the early maps within the report. Now, following the closure of the hospital, Fenham Car was incorporated into the adjacent Williamson Park in 1997. So for any members that know Lancaster quite well, you'll know the Williamson Park with the monument on top of the hill, the big white monument, and that's kind of the sort of the the park area, the recreational park area in Lancaster, very, very well used. So this application was received for the addition of a footpath to go round the Fenham Car area. Now, I inspected the route in January 2020 and took some photographs which are included in the committee presentation, which is in the bundle that has been sent out to committee members and which is being projected onto your screen today. So the total length of the route is 1.4 kilometres long. It commences at the junction with Quernmore Road at point A on the committee plan, and it extends in a southerly direction along the private road known as Parkgate Drive, which provides access to residential properties which include the former hospital building. So the route leaves the drive after approximately 5 metres at point B to follow a tarmac footway and then to go west uphill on a surface track across a grassed area to a kissing gate at point C. Once through the kissing gate, the application route follows a circuitous path around the area known as Fenham Car, following a stone surfaced path with a series of information boards located around the route which provide details of the history of the site and information on the local wildlife, together with the bird hide which is close to point K. So between points E and point F, the application route goes round the western side of a small reservoir, which is surrounded by a substantial wall with no public access. There you can just see it from point E going round the wall. So the route sort of follows around the reservoir and continues through the trees along a surface track. And then at point G, the application route winds its way quite steeply uphill via some wooden steps, and between point G and point K, the route runs adjacent to a substantial wall which separates Fenham Car from Williamson Park. So in addition, included as part of the application route is a link into the formal park between point H and point I, and you can see here that little link going through the gates at point I, which lead into the park near to the butterfly, the hall that has the butterflies in. So just have a look at the continuation of the size. There's the bird hides that you can see, people walking their dogs. I think it's quite well used for running and walking. It's continuing back round, as I say, it's a circuitous route back round to point C. Okay, so as with all applications, a variety of maps, plans and other documents were examined to discover when the route came into being and to try to determine what its status might be. A detailed report of this investigation is included in the committee report, which was made available to members prior to this meeting, so I won't go through it in too much detail today. To summarise, however, we found that there was no map or documentary evidence to support the view that public rights existed over the application route prior to 1997, when most of the land crossed by the route was transferred to the ownership of Lancaster City Council. However, much, but not all of the application route existed as a substantial route prior to this time, which may have been available to the public and would support user evidence which had been submitted for use prior to 1997. Now, since 1997, most of the land crossed by the application route has been managed as a public open space by Lancaster City Council, and the significance of that fact will be explained by my colleague from Legal and Democratic Services, who will now take you through an assessment of the user evidence and the conclusions regarding whether there was sufficient user evidence from which to infer that a public footpath was dedicated prior to 1997 and the implications of the transfer of the land to Lancaster City Council in 1997 as public amenity land. Okay, thank you. I'll just hand over to Kerry.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Chair. The factors in support of making this order are the map and other documentary evidence supporting the physical existence of the route, the some user evidence of long use, and the absence of action taken by landowners to prevent use of the route. The factors against making the order are the volume as user evidence is very low, use not as of right, and lack of intention to dedicate by landowners. The conclusion from Legal and Democratic Service can be summarised as follows. There are two overriding issues with the user evidence which affect the legal advice in relation to the dedication under both common law and Section 31. Firstly, the volume of user evidence is very low considering the route is located within a public park. This makes it not representative of the public at large. Secondly, the use that has occurred appears to have been by right rather than as of right. Fenham Car was acquired by Lancaster City Council as an extension to the adjacent Williamson Park. Williamson Park is held by the City Council as a public pleasure ground under the Public Health Act 1875. This means that members of the public have permission to use the park. If users have permission to walk in the park, then they are not using it as of right, which is what is required for the purpose of establishing a public right of way through the use. From the evidence we have discovered, we believe it is reasonable to infer that Fenham Car is most probably held by the City Council under the same or very similar legislation as the neighbouring land, which means use of the route would have been with permission. Accordingly, committees advised that the evidence does not support a deemed dedication under Section 31. Neither does it support an inferred dedication under common law. There is only one user of the route from the period before the City Council acquired Fenham Car, which is insufficient to infer a dedication. Furthermore, the historical documentary evidence does not support an inference of dedication by previous owners of the land. In conclusion, committee is advised to reject the application and not make an order adding the footpath to the definitive map and statement. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Kerry. Okay, this will be open now to our councillors. If you'd like to speak on this item, could you please raise your hand in the box? Have we anybody who would like to comment on this? Councillor Brown. Councillor Brown.
Sorry, Chair, I fell into the mistake of not unmuting myself.
Okay.
Happy to move the officer's recommendation, Chair.
Okay, we've had a mover. Is there any further comments, or have we got a seconder for this item? Is that Councillor Steen? Okay, then we've have a mover and a seconder. Could I go back to Kerry now? Can we have a vote on this item, please? And I would assume you call by name.
Yes, I'm going to do roll call. So just to be
Roll
clear,
call.
this is agenda item 6, and we are voting to approve the officer's recommendation as set out in the report.
Yes.
Okay. County Councillor Aldridge. I'll come back to you,
It's probably
Councillor.
on mute.
Yeah, it's fine. County Councillor Brown.
4.
County Councillor Clempson.
4.
County Councillor Cooney.
Councillor Cooney's not in the meeting.
Not managed to get on. Okay. County Councillor Cox.
4.
County Councillor Dawson.
4.
County Councillor Eaton.
4.
County Councillor Howarth.
4.
County Councillor Marsh.
I think Councillor Marsh is having sound issues, Kerry,
yeah.
sorry.
I will come back and double check.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Parr.
4.
Councillor Steen.
4.
Councillor Townley, has she managed to join us?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
Not yet.
So it was just County Councillor Aldridge.
He's not joined the meeting, Kerry.
He's not
No.
joined as well. And then Councillor Marsh, we think's got technical difficulties.
Yeah, he's in the meeting, but he's got problems with his sound apparently, so we'll try and resolve that.
Okay, it's been carried, Chair, with 8 votes for.
4. Okay, that's fine. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you for that. Thank you. Okay. Item 7, Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981, the definitive map modification order investigation. and this is file number 804610, and this is at Goodshire Lane, Goodshire Chapel in Rawtenstall. I'll now hand over to Jane again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so yes, this is agenda item 7. The report can be found on pages 121 to 186 of the committee bundle, with a plan showing the route applied for on page 163. Okay, so the application route is, say, it's on page 163 of the bundle. It goes between points A and E on the plan, which is from Goodshire Avenue through to Goodshire Lane at Goodshire Chapel. Okay, I carried out a site inspection in August 2019. So the application route commences at a point on Goodshire Avenue. It's approximately 150 metres long in total. Now at point A, access onto the application route is open and unrestricted, and the route crosses the corner of a surfaced area which is used for parking cars at the front of the entrance to a children's nursery, where there's also access into the graveyard of St Mary and All Saints Church. The route runs in a generally east-northeasterly direction along a sunken grassy tract to the north of the boundary wall of the nursery ground to the corner of the nursery building at point C. As you can see, it was slightly overgrown when I inspected it in the August. So the route continues along the side of the nursery building and it rises uphill, continuing in an east-northeasterly direction between a stone wall and on the north side, and on the south side a wall separating it from the graveyard of St Mary and All Saints Church. There's a gated path from the graveyard which meets the application route at point D. So you can see there's the gate into the graveyard. And then the route continues on quite steeply uphill between the housing and the church to exit onto Goodshire Lane at point E. And there again, you could just see there's another entrance from the path into the church grounds. And that's approaching point E to where it exits. So say, when I inspected the route in August 2019, it was passable but overgrown with no evidence of recent frequent use. And there were no signs indicating whether the route was considered to be public or private. However, I had included some Google images from 2009 of both ends of the path where you could see it was actually less overgrown at that time. And that's just the pointy there showing the path in 2009. So the committee report provides a detailed account of the various maps, plans and other documents which were examined in an attempt to discover when the route came into being and to try to determine what status it might be. Again, I don't propose to go through that evidence in detail as it's all in the report, but in summary, the application route's not shown on any small-scale early commercial maps predating the Ordnance Survey mapping. However, the route is referred to as a footway in 1824 in relation to the consecration of the graveyard extension. And as the application is for the route to be recorded as a footpath, it's not necessarily surprising that it wasn't shown on the early commercial maps, as such maps were primarily produced to show routes which were used on horseback and in particular horses and carts or carriages. Now, the map and photographic evidence available from the publication of the first edition Ordnance Survey maps in the 1840s right through to the current time supports the view that the route physically existed and was capable of being used by the public, at least on foot, since the 1840s, possibly before, as I say, in terms of the fact that it was referred to as a footway in 1824. And also suggesting that it might be an old public route dedicated to the public use many years ago. In addition, the map and documentary evidence supports the user evidence which was submitted as part of the application. And despite the fact that it was overgrown when I looked at the route in 2019, Google Street Google Street Images dated 2009 show the start of the route from point A as being a well-defined surface track and access at point E being clear of vegetation. Again, consistent with the user evidence and the fact that several users refer to the route no longer being maintained and recently becoming overgrown and more difficult to use. I'll now hand over to Kerry, who will talk you through the user evidence submitted in support of the application and the officer's recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the factors in support of making this order are the map and documentary evidence, the user evidence submitted, and the absence of action taken by the landowners to prevent use of the route. The factors against making the order is there is a gate placed across the route at one point. The conclusion from Legal and Democratic Services can be summarised as follows. The historical documentary evidence shows the route referred to as a footway since 1824. The route then continues to be shown only on the OS maps published since 1849 and shown forming part of a larger route from Burnley Road to Godshaw Road. As there is no express dedication of the route by the landowner, committee is therefore asked to consider the provisions set out in section 31 of the Highways Act 1980. The application date of July 2019 is the date to be used upon which to base the 20-year use, therefore being a necessary period of use from 1999 to 2019. It is advised that there is a reasonable amount of user evidence forms submitted in support of the route, demonstrating evidence by the public of their 20-year use as of right, with no evidence of interruption or actions of challenge taken by the landowner. The breakdown of duration and frequency of the use are set out on pages 158 and 159 of the committee report. It is therefore suggested that the criteria as set out in section 31 of the Highways Act may be satisfied on balance that a dedication may be deemed. In conclusion, committee is advised to approve the application and make an order adding the footpath to the definitive map and statement as set out in the committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry, for that. Just before I go over to the members, I'd like to just read out a couple of pieces, which is on page 159. It says there, none of the 29 users recalled having been prevented from using the route, and one did not specify. None of the 29 users recorded any gates, stiles or obstructions along the application route. One again did not specify. I'll now open this up to members, please. Please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, seems quite clear. I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Is there any other members who would like to comment on this application which we have in front of us this morning? I've already got a mover. Have we got someone to second this application?
Happily second that, Chair.
That's Councillor Steen. So we've got a mover and a seconder. Any other members would like to comment on this? I'll just give you a moment to indicate. No. Okay, I'll go to legal now and we'll have a roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the vote now for item 7, and you're voting to approve the officer's recommendation as set out in their report. I believe County Councillor Aldred hasn't joined us, so we'll move straight to Councillor Brown.
Okay.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Clempson.
For.
Councillor Cooney, I don't think's joined.
No.
Councillor Cox.
For.
Councillor Dawson.
For.
Councillor Eaton.
For.
Councillor Howarth.
For.
Councillor Marsh, I don't think is able to get his voice across. Councillor Parr.
For.
Councillor Steen.
For, Chairman.
And I think Councillor Town has not managed to join us. 1, 2, 3. That's 8 again in favour, Chair. It's been carried.
Thank you for that, Kerry. Thank you. We'll now go on to item 8, which is diversion of part of footpath in Bacup, which is footpath 486 at land of at land off Rockcliffe Road, and that's in Bacup, Rosendale. And Ross Pawson will be dealing with this application. Okay, Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, just thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
That's super. And you can see the
The map's up.
presentation.
Yes.
Right, that's great. Thank you very much. Yes, so the developer of a small residential site off Rockcliffe Road in Bacup has applied to Lancashire County Council for an order to be made under Section 119 of the Highways Act 1980 to divert part of footpath Bacup 486 in Rosendale Borough. The report is on pages 187 to 218 of the committee papers, and the plan is on page 193. The site comprises of a new estate road and 26 residential dwellings. The footpath runs along the southeastern side of the site from Rockcliffe Road, and then as the land slopes down, the footpath cuts across an area of rough ground, continuing down a flight of old stone steps and then passing under a disused railway bridge and alongside a stream to join New Line. As you can see from this map, the footpath is a valuable link in the network of public rights of way. So the footpath is shown by the cursor there, leading from Rockcliffe Road down to New Line. It provides a safe and convenient pedestrian route to access the recreational areas at Stubbley Park and Moorland Park, which are to the south of New Line, and also industrial premises that are located to the south of New Line. As such, it's expected that the footpath will be well used by the residents of the new development and also the wider urban area of Rockcliffe that's located to the north. I'll run through the slides so you can see what the site looks like and compare the existing footpath with the proposed alternative. So the existing route is shown by a bold black line from A to B, and the proposed alternative is shown by the dashed line from C around to D and then down to B. So this is the existing route proposed to be diverted. The point where it leaves Rockcliffe Road is shown as point A on the plan. You can see that the footpath then runs down into the site, and then looking back towards Rockcliffe Road, you'll notice on these photographs that much of the footpath is currently overgrown, but that doesn't indicate the use of the footpath because the site has actually been closed for several years due to the development that's been ongoing. So although you can't see a trodden path at this point, the reason being that the public have been unable to access the footpath while the development's been ongoing. But the footpath runs down the edge of the site between the stone wall and the mound on the site. It then turns away from the wall and heads towards the slope, and then it continues across the slope, and then this is looking down from the slope where the recorded line of the footpath runs, and you can see here the disused railway bridge which the footpath continues under. And so this is just looking back, this is the current gradient of the site. The footpath runs down the steepest part of the slope and then onto point B on the committee plan, which is on some steps that lead down to the disused railway bridge. And then looking up, you could see some original stone steps and then the new steps that have been provided to link up. The proposed alternative route is shown CDB. So this is the new point where the footpath will meet with Rockcliffe Road, which is just about 5 metres from the existing point at point A. So it will come in here at point C, run down the footway to the new estate road. So you can obviously see the new houses that have been built, and then the footpath will run on this 2 metre wide bitmap surface, continuing on the estate road around the curve of the estate road, and then leaving the bitmap surface to run on this newly constructed porous rubber composite surface, which provides the best possible gradient down the slope, curving around to meet the flight of steps at point B. And so this is looking back at the existing route and the proposed alternative route. The diversion, if successful, will remove the footpath from the rough ground at the perimeter of the development site and away from the steepest part of the slope, and place it on the bitmap surface footpath of the new estate road that leads to a purpose-built footpath with the composite rubber surface, and that will ensure that the new footpath will be suitable for use in all weathers. The applicants have agreed to bear the administrative charges incurred by the County Council in the order making procedures, and also to defray any compensation payable and any costs which are incurred in bringing the site of the new footpath into a fit condition for public use. With regards to the stance on submitting the order for confirmation, in this instance, as the diversion is in the interests of the owner of the land, the promotion of the order to confirmation in the event of objections will be undertaken by the applicant, and it is suggested, therefore, that the authority takes a neutral stance. It is therefore suggested that recommendations 1, 2 and 3 in the report be accepted. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ross. Do you want to pass this over to legal now?
Thank you, Chair. Legal don't have any comment to
You've
make on this
nothing
application.
to comment.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, before I hand over to members, could I say I've been involved with this for quite a while. It's been closed for, I think, at least over 5 years. I would like to say a big thank you to all our officers, especially Ross and David, who's been on site on more than one occasion. There was concerns. We've had engineers on the site, and they've worked wonders to address this matter. I'm sure that if they hadn't have done the work, the hard work, what they have actually been doing over the last few years, this would not have come to committee today. It would have been further down the field. Again, I would like to say a big thank you to all our officers, the administration fees and everything which has been addressed. I'll now open this over to members. If you want to, okay, Councillor Steen.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to pay tribute to yourself for all the work you've done over the years to promote the reopening of this footpath, and to the officers for offering their support. It was well used by residents in the area, and it will be a very welcome return to them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Just before I just say, since those photos have been addressed, there's actually been a handrail actually put down now on this side, and David Good's well aware of what's due to be happening soon on the other side. But again, could I say a big thank you. Could I ask any other members? I don't know whether David would like to comment on this or not.
No further comment, Chair. We are, as you just said, looking at improving the bit beyond there through to New Line. We're looking at that straight away.
Okay, that's very kind of you. Okay, then again, this is back to members, please. You have a recommendation in front of you. Would someone indicate on this matter? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, another clear application, so I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. We've got a mover. Have we got a seconder on this item, please? Sorry, Councillor Steen, you still got your hand up.
Happy to second that, Chair.
You're going to second that. Okay,
Yep,
then we've
thank
got
you.
a mover and a seconder on this item. Could I go now to Kerry, and we'll go on a roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the vote for agenda item number 8, and again, it's a vote for the officer's recommendation as set out in the report. Councillor Brown, I'll start with you.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Clempson.
For.
Councillor Cox.
For.
Councillor Dawson.
For.
Councillor Eaton.
For.
Councillor Howarth.
For.
Councillor Parr.
For.
Councillor Steen.
For.
Okay, Chair, that's 8 again in for this application. It's been carried.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 9, urgent business. I have none. As legal or any officers, any urgent items?
No, thank you, Chair. I've got none.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. The date and time of the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, the 10th of March at 10:30. Before we go, could I say a big thank you to all our members for their involvement over the past few months, which has been very, very difficult. And again, to all our officers, I say a big thank you. And all I can say to you, stay safe and hope to see you all soon. Thank you. And speak to you again. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Chair.
Bye.